Hello everyone and welcome to SUNUP. I'm Lyndall Stout. Turning the calendar to September means fall planting season is almost here. And today we begin by talking about canola. Here's SUNUP's Dave Deacon.
Chad, what are some of the varieties that Oklahoma producers are using?
Well, really, when you look over the last 4 or 5 years, we've come a long ways with the varieties that we have commercially available. For one thing, we have a lot more hybrids available to us, which in high yielding conditions. So, like last year, hybrids really shined last year compared to some of the open pollinated varieties. But just in general, the amount of variety improvement that we've had the last 3 or 4 years has been tremendous.
What are some of the improvements that we've been seeing?
Of course, winter hardiness, which really in Oklahoma now, winter hardiness is not an issue. We haven't had an extreme winter in a couple winters, but it doesn't appear, as long as stuff's planted in a timely manner, winter hardiness does not seem to be an issue. And then, of course, herbicide resistance, we see more and more Roundup Ready varieties becoming available, which helps. More varieties and hybrids with the SU residual tolerance trait, which is important for those producers who have a history of using SU herbicides on their wheat. So those are two main critical characteristics that we see more and more varieties coming out with.
Okay, are you seeing much of a difference as far as row spacing goes?
Well, row spacing really has been one of those questions we've had a lot over the last 4 or 5 years. Mm-hmm. And really the research that we've done, anywhere from 15 to 7.5 inches, no consistent yield differences at all. And then when we go up to 30-inch rows, sometimes we see a yield drag anywhere from 0 to 10%. A lot of that is determined on what your yield potential is. If you're growing 1,500-pound canola, you're probably not going to see a yield difference between 7.5, 15, and 30. However, if you get into that 3,000, 3,500-pound yield potential, that's when you're probably going to see that 5 to 10% yield drag.
And of course, all producers, especially coming out of a drought like we did, producers really need to be thinking about managing the residue in their soil.
That's correct. One of the problems when we think specifically about no-till canola is residue management. We need to remove a little bit of that residue from the seed row to get a little bit of bare soil showing. So when you think about last year planting canola in the fall of 2011, we were following a 0 to 20 bushel wheat crop in a lot of areas, so not a lot of residue. However, this year, we're following 40 to 60 or easily, bushel wheat straw. So there's about 2 or 3 times as much wheat straw as there was last fall. So we need to think about residue management, how we're going to manage that residue when we get ready to plant canola.
What are some of the options that producers can do?
Some of the things that we've had success with over the last couple years, one of them is using a row crop planter. Mm-hmm. So planting on wider rows, 20 to 30-inch rows, depending on what you're set up with, and using row cleaners. So mm-hmm. Basically, you're removing 3 to 4 inches of residue for that seed to come up and get some bare soil surface exposed. So that's one thing. Another option would be burning. We don't like to promote that, right. but it is an option for producers to have in their toolbox. Ideally, burn a day or two before you plant. You want to leave that residue there because that's what's protecting your soil surface and reducing evaporative water losses. So burning right before planting is one option. The other one would be vertical tillage. That worked last year for a few guys. Basically there, you're chopping the residue up a little bit and tying it into the soil surface. And in most cases, depending on what machine you're using or what brand, you're going to get enough bare soil there to get that canola through the winter.
Okay, so soil management is going to be important this coming year just as it's been in the past couple of years.
It is, and probably more so this year because a lot of guys that no-tilled their canola had success last year mm-hmm. without even thinking about residue management, just because we had so little residue. But this year, where we have 60 bushel wheat straw laying on the ground, mm-hmm. It's going to be critical because there'll be a lot of stand loss if somebody just goes in and drills directly into 60 bushel wheat straw. There'll be stand loss this winter, no doubt.
Okay, thank you much, Chad Godsey with Oklahoma State University.